Maximizing Gmail for Lawyers, a conversation with Ivan Alexandrovich of Vana.space. That is our conversation for today. Welcome to the Lawyers and Mediators International Show and Podcast, where we discuss law and conflict resolution topics to educate both professionals and everyday people. Catch regular episodes on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcast. Just remember, nothing in these episodes constitutes legal advice, so be sure to talk to a lawyer, as cases are fact-dependent. Hi, everyone. This is Mac POE, attorney mediator. Welcome back to LMI Podcast, and I'm here today with Ivan Alexandrovich. Ivan, how are you?
Good, Mac. Nice to see you again.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And we recently met at the ABA Tech Show earlier this month in Chicago.
Right.
And so the last couple of weeks, I've been spending some time having people who I met over there come on the show to talk about some of the technology that they are spending all their time building out and the ways they're helping lawyers and mediators. And so it's really good to have you. Yesterday, I had a guy on for one of his products and tool that he's building out. And so today it's really good to have you talk about Vana. I'm going to share my screen on a couple of things, and I know you'll be doing the same a little bit later.
Yep.
But for folks who maybe not used to it, ABA Tech Show is a tech conference that's held every year in Chicago. And this past year, I got a chance to go for the first time to Chicago and just hear and meet and engage with lots of different people who love technology, especially legal tech. And so you were there to talk about Vana. And Vana, this is the website, Vana.space. And I really want to hear you share the story of what it is, why you built it out, and how it's going to help mediators, lawyers, and their clients become successful in the legal field. But first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into some of the questions?
Absolutely. So, pleasure being on here again. Very amazing experience meeting you at the tech show. So who I am currently, I'm a 3L at TJSL, Thomas Jefferson School of Law. And right now I'm studying patents and trademarks as well as immigration.
Okay.
So that's to say that, I've always had an interest in law. And so where that stemmed from was my mother. And so she's an attorney. She's been practicing for just over 20 years in immigration. And so, I'd like to use that as a segue, to explain why it is that, I developed this tool.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so,
before you go there, so it's surprising to find out that you're still in law school right now.
right. Yes.
Yeah. So it's interesting because most of the people who were there were seasoned developers, folks who have products that many people are familiar with, tools that we've been using for almost decades in some cases. But it's almost like we're talking to potentially the next Steve Jobs here, right? Because you're like a kid to many people, and so congratulations for being such a visionary in this area.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, it was a shock to quite a few people just to discover that one, I'm in law school, but two, that, I'm 21. I entered law school when I was 19 years of age. So
Wow.
it was definitely, a triumph, not for myself, but, just for my family members, including my siblings, to see, hey, like older bro, he's getting the job done.
Yeah.
He cares about, learning and education, and not just that, but, to really grasp it at its fullest.
Awesome.
So yeah, no, I mean, I certainly try. I certainly want to, add something to this next generation of tools, things that really make sense, things that really need to be there in our field of vast technology.
Yep. Yeah. So tell us about the backstory.
Right. Of course. So again, me having that guidance from my mom and her firm, and they've always used Gmail. Oh, they've
Yep.
always used Gmail. And so what happened here is that she was looking for a solution, and I believe she wanted to go with Filevine initially. And so what happened is that it was a whole different system. It
Mhm.
was a different user interface experience. It was very unfamiliar. And so I had proposed a solution because what she wanted was to keep all communications pertaining to a client in one place. She wanted to see documents in one folder. She wanted to see communications in one folder, and communications encompasses emails, also SMS, texting, just because that is the biggest media or medium for communication,
Yeah.
texting.
Yeah.
And so I said, hey, I can build you this. I know who to talk to. I know, I can assemble a team. We can get this done. And so that was back in November. And
Wow.
so what's happened up until this point, even at the tech show, it's just continually being refined and making sure that there's no hiccups in the system, building on what already is. And so, actually, I'd like to point out this key piece is that at the tech show, I showcased Vana 4.0, and
Okay.
currently, right now, it's running 4.6. So there's always this, refining, making sure that everything runs smooth, that there's
Yeah.
no problems, no error on the user experience side.
Yeah. And before you continue on, let me give folks a little bit of a forest view, so to speak. So what's on my screen is Google Workspace, right? The Google ecosystem, the thing that millions of people are used to around the world, millions of business owners. And it's incredible the Google story in building this out. I mean, I remember when this was called Google Apps back in the day. I was in law school, I finished law school in 2009. And then shortly after that, it became G Suite for years. And then after that, it evolved into Google Workspace. And so people know that it includes Gmail and Drive and Google Calendar, Google Docs. And so it's become a full blown office suite, to rival the Microsoft offerings of the world. And so people who are already living in this ecosystem, every single day I live in this ecosystem. I use Gmail as the basis of my MacPW.com domain, of LMI hub sites, and of LMI podcasts, of everything. What I was replying to you today, for example, right? Using this tool. All my files are in Google Drive. All the calendaring I do is in Google Calendar. So for people who are already living in this little bubble called the Google Workspace experience, that's where Vana comes in, right? So you are deeply integrating your program into this. And the only other thing I'll show before that you continue
Yeah.
is this is actually on the Google Chrome Web Store. I have already downloaded Vana, and so I can't really do much with it right now, but I would like for you to talk about it and share your screen. But in a nutshell, from what I recall seeing when I was at the tech show, it does deal with a law firm where you can integrate text, calls, drive, notes, memos, calendar, AI for email,
Yep.
all on the Gmail sidebar that people are already used to, right?
Exactly.
So you just wanted to kind of give that overview because I think once people understand where exactly Vana, the Vana experience happens right inside of Gmail, then
Absolutely.
it'll all come together as you're explaining it.
Yeah, of course. And great segue. Am I able to share my screen at this
Yes,
time?
please.
Absolutely. Let me share screen. All right. And so here I've opened up my own Gmail.
Okay.
And so I'm going to take you guys and show you exactly where this sidebar lives. So it's right here, really utilizing this space. And so I want to draw a distinction here with pre existing features that are already given to Gmail and also the Google Workspace. So we have labels here. And
Yeah.
so I want to show, a very brief demonstration of what labels can do. So you can make a label. However, it's a feature where you are only able to drag and drop
Hmm.
certain elements into that label. So I've dragged a YouTube video and it lands in there.
Yeah.
But this feature does not encompass tagging an email ID to it and having emails go into that label. So it's a very manual process. And so that's the key distinction here, is that now you're not making labels, you're making folders that
Okay.
automate that transition, that automate that process for you. So let me showcase your folder
Sure.
actually. And so here I've clicked on your folder and it has our communication history in here.
Okay.
And so the cool thing about this is that for your clients, if they have other emails, informal emails, or maybe, the email of their company, their wife, their children, perhaps, that reach on behalf of them, you're able to include that all in here. And so when I click on your little toggle up here, again, utilizing more of this space that we already have,
Yeah.
is that you're going to see that I can see the different emails on here and the phone numbers that would be attributed. So all I would have to do is click and an email would draft up. Likewise, any of those emails that you're communicating from this folder will auto live in here. And so that's the one thing that I really
Okay.
want to showcase about this.
So, so yeah, thank you for that. In a way, you're associating email with a, I guess, with a topic, right?
Yes, and that topic will be, these rules that you attribute it to. So let me open up, let me hit the plus icon just to really
Okay.
demonstrate how you would go about building this folder. So we'll click, create a new account. And so the account name could be, the name, or if you have clients such as in the immigration field, it could be their alien number, or it can be a combination of both.
Hmm.
Now, what we see here are these rules. Maybe your client has a business and you want to put their website on here? Not a problem. Their phone number, their email. So you select email and you're able to add their email into here. And you check mark the box saying make it bi-directional. What does that mean? That means
Hmm.
you can see communications that you sent to them and
Okay.
they send to you in turn. And
Okay.
so the last factor here is that you hit the floppy disk,
Yeah.
just to save, and then you create the folder. And then what'll happen is that it will land into your sidebar over here, and you'll be able to see everything that's in there.
Gotcha. So I guess this is what's been missing, right? Where each email that comes in the past is not associated necessarily with a common theme, but what
Yep.
you're doing is you're putting it all together and putting it somewhere, but you're saying it's different from labels,
Yep.
to where now what would you say the fundamental difference is from labels? I don't say that they're called folders,
Yep.
but people could also imagine that labels are folders as well, right? But so what's the difference?
Right. Let me showcase. So labels also has a plus feature here. So I'm
Yeah.
going to hit it. And so what we're going to be able to see is that, you can label, you can give it a name, but you can't associate it other than just giving it a title. So
Okay.
this is more of a, imagine a notebook for a specific class. That's what this is. And the thing is that again, you need to manually drag and drop. And let me also note the fact that Google Workspace does not have this feature. It doesn't exist in the Google Workspace. So,
Mhm.
whether you have a standard Gmail or a, Google Workspace Gmail, this will directly apply to you because this feature does not exist on either platform.
Gotcha. And it does much more, right? Not just
Yep.
the emails, but what else does it do?
So not just email. Yes, you are correct to point that out. So I'm going to click here and we're going to be able to see that there is this Drive integration. And this is the
Hmm.
second piece that I want to showcase is that
Okay.
when you hit Google Drive, you're able to store documents on here and it will the Google Drive that you're able to sync, you can choose the Google Drive that you have existing with this Gmail, or you can specifically choose a Google Drive. So many people, they have a Google Drive for work, their personal Google Drive, a Google Drive that's only meant for that specific client. So you're able
Yeah.
to select the Google Drive. And so let me actually, showcase how this works. I'm going to select a document and I'm going to have it in here. So I'm going to click select file. And I'm going to do something arbitrary. I'm going to, select this. I'm going to, and it says file uploaded successfully. And now,
Okay.
Mac, in your folder, we have a document living in here. So I'm going to click on it very quickly, and it's going to show this document.
Okay.
And so to go back, and why this is so important is the fact that now we're able not only to keep communication in
Yeah.
one place,
But
and
also
I'll
the files. Mhm.
right, but also files. Exactly. And so, that's where that Google Drive is. So, it again,
Yeah.
my parents' firm, we use Gmail. We likewise also use Google Drive. So this is a very good, connecting power piece.
Yeah.
And so the last point that I want to mention here, and if you'd like to showcase the other features, I'd be happy to. But the last piece here is
Mhm.
that I want to showcase the SMS feature,
Okay.
right? So if your client folder has a phone number attributed to it, you're going to be able to text directly. And so here I'm going to showcase my dad, paralegal that works at my mother's firm, is that
Okay.
now you can directly text from the folder. So how does
Cool.
this work? One is that your client needs to sign a consent form, which is, displayed
Okay.
right here. Why? It's just to say, hey, we're using this platform to text you off of, just quickly consent,
Yeah.
make sure that you understand so
Yeah.
that
That's
we can.
pretty common. That's pretty common these days in the industry.
Right. And so, just on that note as well, is that our platform utilizes Twilio
Yeah.
cellular telecommunications, which is
Yeah. I'm
very
familiar with
secure, has
it.
had no breaches between 2024, 2025. I just want to throw that statistic out there, just adding to that security feature that you would
Yeah.
have with this. So here we're able to, select who we want. And again, the reason why is that a folder could have multiple people associated with your client in it. For example, husband, business partner, for example, employees of said person, children, maybe even. So now you can text them directly from here by selecting who will receive. So, and then on that note, I want to showcase the phone feature, right? So, this phone feature allows you to make calls directly, again, from your Gmail, but also you can do it from the Vana Go app. And so that's just a way to tie in utilizing multiple devices. So, it's not always convenient to, be stationary, sit at a desk and make calls. Sometimes you're on the go.
Okay.
And so that's where this app comes in. So you're able to download the Vana Go app, you
Okay.
log in, and you're able to see your entire contact book. You can send SMS and also make phone calls, and that will auto displace into the folder for convenience.
So the Vana Go app, it'll have what, a phone interface to where
Yep.
it looks like a telephone.
Yep. And so let me showcase it right here. I've logged in on the
Okay.
Vana Go app.
I
And
see.
so here we have four blue icons. Those are
And
the
I will
folders,
stop sharing your screen only because it'll be easier to see. You can stop sharing your screen and then show it to the camera.
right?
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Of course. So here we have the Vanago app, and it's a very simplistic way of just showing a contact book. So here I'm going to go fetching my contacts, and here we have the ability. So first we see the name, we see the
Yeah.
phone number, and now we're also able to send texts. So I'm going to hit text icon here for my dad, as I
Okay.
showcased earlier, and it has two messages, exactly how it had on the Gmail interface when I was displaying it.
Cool. Okay. But it's what number is it calling from, or what will the caller, what will the recipient see?
Right. So the recipient would see a registered, rented out business phone number,
Okay.
just to keep things very secure. And so, what this is that if you elect to the Vana Pro subscription, then you're able to receive this secure business line, and that will be attached to your Gmail. So you would need to preface this to your client saying, hey, and again, when they sign the consent, saying we agree to receive communications using this software, that you also need to disclose that this is the my office phone number that I will
Yeah.
be calling and texting you from.
Yeah. So I use Google Voice for the Office system, Google Voice Pro, I guess, not the free version, which I've also used for many, many years. But I remember when I use MyCase, for example, as a office management program for my law office.
Yep.
Uh, Years after I started using it, they introduced the ability to text for the first time. And it was revolutionary for me because I was like, wow, finally, this is so cool because now I can text clients right from my case out and they can text back. And it was handy because it kept everything in one place: clients'
Exactly.
communications, client files, and the text messages. Okay. However, in its first, round, it didn't do images. You still, I believe, have to use a number that they provide. Do you think in the future there might be a way for Vana to allow you to bring your own phone number so that you don't have to juggle two different numbers for the public?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so, I want to showcase that everything is always growing all the time, right? And
Yeah.
so, just like AI, it's very new, it'll keep growing, and much similar to this system. So, absolutely, in future points, we'll be able to accommodate that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. Thank you for saying AI. Tell me a little bit more about potential Gemini integration, because that would be cool.
Right. Here, let me share my screen one
Sure.
more time. And so, let's circle back to your folder for a
All right.
second. And so now I've opened up your folder. And so, Gemini, it's up here, it's in the corner. It'll
Yeah.
help you draft emails, right, at the
Yeah.
same time. And so we also offer that feature as well, just directly in the folder. And so we do that as a convenience because now what this will be able to do, you can select who it's going to, who you want to, CC or blind carbon copy, and then
Hmm.
what type of email. So if I wanted to write an email talking about, um, write me an email to follow up with Mac and secure a next set podcast date. And so I'm going to select Mac, it auto populates.
Hmm.
And so I'm going to generate email. And what's going to happen is that it's going to do, the exact same function. And
Yeah.
so, but what it'll do is that it'll go and it'll be able to, read the context of what's been done in the prior emails. So this is more of a convenience piece. But at the same time, Gemini can also do this. However, I do want to note this
Okay.
is that in the Google Workspace, when you elect to get the professional Google Workspace, is that I'm going to compose a email here. And this is just the standard Gmail,
Hmm.
is that you don't have that feature down here. But let me take you to my professional Google Workspace and I'm going to showcase this compose email. Here it is right here. So
Yeah.
this helped me write. You will not be able to get this unless you elect to that Google Workspace. Whereas
Yeah.
Vana, we have it's a free extension, and you're able just to have it in the free version of Vana.
So, um, am I mistaken? Vana works only within Google Workspace that's being paid, or is it just in Gmail?
So it's in Gmail
Okay.
across both the free version of
Okay.
Gmail along with the Google Workspace. But in
Got
the
it.
Google Workspace, if you have it, then it's really up at your discretion which one you prefer.
Understood. Okay. So, in a way, you're providing people a option to
Right.
get into the AI feature
Yep.
without having to, in essence, pay Google. Also,
Exactly.
I understand. Okay, and so for people who want to, get started and sign up, from what I understood, you guys have a free level where there's a few cases.
Yep, absolutely. So the free level, there's no free trial. Quite frankly, I don't believe in free trial. I think it steers me away, right? I don't want to enter card details. I don't want to have that commitment. So
Yeah.
we just offer a free, just completely free version, and that's default when you load the Vana extension. So let me showcase
Sure.
this piece. And so at the same time, I wanna invite you to witness this shocking factor
Right.
as to what I'm about to show you, because every single time I do it, it blows my mind. So let's notice the left side of this screen over here. Let's just take a look at it for a few more seconds, right? And so notice how it's very, very much utilized.
Yeah.
And now I'm about to remove it. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to remove Vana from Chrome. Remove. And so I'm going to reload the page. And now let's notice the left side of the screen.
Yeah.
It's empty. It's
Yeah.
very under there, there's no utilization to it.
Hmm.
And so that's the piece that we add on to. And again, I just want
Yeah.
to preface that we're not building something new. We're just adding on to something to make
People.
it
Yeah.
just better. And so
You're at.
here I'm going to showcase how we go about just even adding it.
Yep.
So we're going to
So
go
this is how
to
people get started.
Yep, exactly. So we're going to go to the Chrome Web Store. And so we're going to look up and, let me just demonstrate this piece. We're going to type in Vana. It's the first one to pop up. Hit, and you're going to be able to see the red triangle. Click, and we're going to add it to Chrome by hitting the Add to Chrome button. Add extension. So what you're going to see instantaneously is that now it'll show you where it's popped up. But the key thing is that you need to
Yep.
pin it.
Yep.
So you
A lot
hit
of people don't realize that you got to pin it.
Yep. So you hit the puzzle piece and you select pin. And now it's there for you to use at moment's convenience. So let's go back, journey back to my Gmail. We're going to hit the reload page. And now we're going to see Vana accounts has appeared instantaneously.
Gotcha.
And so now we're going to click on here in order to, just register. So for me, so I'm going to take you through this. So if you don't have an account, again, it's free to register.
Yep.
Simply add the name and your details, and you're able to register. And then from that point, and so let me log in very quickly. I'm going to hit the red triangle, and once you have an
Hmm.
account, log in, and I'm going to enter my details
Hmm.
very quickly. Cool. And now I see, this left side of the space, I
Yep.
have this access. And so what you'll get immediately once you register for free and once you log in is that you're just going to be able to, like I took you through that process of adding those folders, you can make up to 5. So, for the people that, just want that
Mhm.
easy on hand convenience, and it could be anyone, law firms, it could be, your paralegals, it could be students of any kind, maybe you might have children, or, you might be a attorney who also teaches perhaps. This would be a, very on hand free tool for absolutely anyone that
Yeah.
has the Gmail interface. So I just want to preface that, but you're going to be able to come here and create accounts, these folders immediately in up to 5.
Awesome. So it's a really good project management tool, but with the legal professional in mind.
Yep.
And it ties in together not just the communication aspect, email or text, but also calendar,
Yep.
drive, files, and I even saw memo, so you can write
Yes.
notes, right? And
Yes,
so the
exactly.
notes would then stay with the client's case file, and all within Gmail, the tool that you're already using. You don't have to get out of it. You can just stay in there all day.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like it. And but again, I appreciate that you've come on to describe this, because I think a lot of companies out there don't realize the benefit of helping people stay in one tool that they always use. And
Yep.
I would say the Gmail inbox is probably the number one place where
Absolutely.
lawyers sit all day when they use email.
Yep.
And the whole sidebar thing, I think it's revolutionary by itself, because Google came out now with the right sidebar in Workspace that has quickly accessible Google Calendar on the side, Google Voice, which is what I have on the side. And I know why Google did that, because they realize, look, people spend hours within this little rectangle, and so why not take advantage like you have on the left side.
Exactly.
Yeah. So genius product. Thank you so much for sharing it.
Thank you.
And a few questions I was writing down. So how many folders or projects can you have?
So with the free version, again, it's up to 5, and that does not include the phone number piece there.
Okay. Yeah.
And so if you would like to have that pro feature, right, it would come with that rented out business phone number with the SMS and the phone call details. But now you can go from 5 to 7,000 folders that
7,000
you can
potential
do.
cases.
Right.
Got
And
it.
so the reason I did it like that is because lots of firms, no matter how small or big you are, and if you're a smaller firm that utilizes Gmail to its fullest capacity, and you've been around for so long, again, my mother, she's been around over 20 years. The amount of clients that you'll have over that period, it
Mhm.
will easily reach into the thousands. So we want to bring that, we want to bring that to the Gmail interface and utilize it to its fullest capacity.
Gotcha. And the situation you had designed it for was immigration law practice. However, this can be used for basically any kind of law practice, right?
Any field of practice. Yep.
And what about sharing this with others on your team? So, from your mom's view, when she's in her box, is she
Yep.
able to then share the same folder with your dad, who's a paralegal who works with her?
So that is a great question. And so the way that, because her firm now utilizes this, is that all the paralegals and her, they utilize the same inbox, her business Gmail inbox. So they're all on it. They all respond to it.
Okay.
But that opens up a great conversation and a segue to Vana 5.0, which is in development. It'll be out in a
Okay.
few weeks. It accommodates that as to which you are describing, where you have multiple associates. You could
Yeah.
have hundreds, or just maybe like 2 or 3 associates, any arbitrary number. And what you're able to do is share that Vana index, that side bar
Hmm.
index, with them. They're able to have access. Now, I want to add on this piece here, is that if you are the owner or the supervising attorney, you have administrative control. So
Yeah.
you're able to share it, the folder, the Vana index. Likewise, you're able to, for example, if you need to screen off somebody, you're able to do so by limiting exactly which folders they're able to see. So you have full control and you're able to share this. So, how you're able to share it is that there will be an admin key. So from the associates inbox, they would download Vana extension, and they would be able to enter a key designed by their admin, and they'll have full access to it.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, Ivan, thank you so much for coming on today. It makes me think a lot about what's possible
Right.
and other places you can take this. I can imagine the AI, aspect growing because Google and Gemini are growing exponentially and it's doing different things. And so all the integrations that you will put into the future, I'm really
Absolutely.
looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Mac, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, sir. All right. Until next time, everybody, check out this episode and all the others on lmipodcast.com and the YouTube channel. Of course, this will be on Spotify and some of the other places on the web. And don't be a stranger, people. Subscribe, follow us. Take care, everybody. Until next time. Bye bye.